Trojan family, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. It's the top of the morning. Listen, I hope everybody is getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, there were some things that we could take away, absolutely take away from the media day yesterday. And I have a couple of things that I can take away from it. And I got a couple of things that I want to talk about in reference to everything that we heard yesterday in media day. There were so many storylines that came out of media day that, it was hard to pick, four or five. I mean, there were multiple, but I got a couple that I want to talk about that I think are very important as to what this team has built. We're not even going to just say building because they are building, but what this team has built within the past few months, since this coaching staff has got here, all of these new coaches, Deanton Lynn, Doug Belk, Matt Ince, all of them, which bring their own expertise and their own stamp of approval that they're going to put on this defense. I think that we're getting ready to see and witness something that is super special. And you realize that there's a quiet confidence right now. And nobody, they see the outside, they see the media, they see all of these different things, but they're just going about their business. And I think they're going to show up and show out beginning at game one for the USC football Trojans. But the first storyline I want to talk about is Matt Ince. Matt Ince, you guys know, you see multiple coaches usually, well, really just really one most of all, that a lot of people talk about, which is Eric Henderson. And he talked about multiple things yesterday. And you guys know I talk about him on a regular basis, but I'm not even going to talk about Eric Henderson today because his body of work speaks for itself. His energy speaks for itself. But when you're talking about Matt Ince, you rarely see him do a whole lot of talking. And when he does, it's very effective. You could tell that he's a very experienced guy, a guy that's been out there, a guy that has established himself as a great coach, a coach that knows exactly what he's doing, but a coach that knows how to identify talent, a coach that identifies players and, the position of the players. And when you recognize the player's ability and things that they can do and things that they're not doing, and really say that, look, because this player is here now, and he has some other guys that are surrounded around him, I think he's going to be an effective player. And that was one of the things that I took from Matt Ince. He talked about Mason Cobb. You guys know that I talked about Mason on several occasions, and shout out to Mason. You guys know we just did a homeless feeding together, and I had him on my live the other day. But shout out to Mason. You guys know I talked about him when he was at Oklahoma State, how he was super effective. We saw Mason flying around, doing all kinds of different things, and he was incredible. However, some will say his reputation took a hit. I knew personally that Mason is still a great player, and it was the scheme. It was just the whole. Here's what's ironic: this scheme of Alex Grinch made a lot of players look a lot of different ways. We see Mason make plays, but then you seen it seems like some players were out of place, and it was based on scheme. But Matt Ince, he addressed that with Mason Cobb, and now the fact that he's able to identify who Mason is, and we all have. He knows what he is. He knows he's a leader, and I think that you listen to what Matt Ince had to say in reference to Mason Cobb.
I think adding Easton to our roster elevated Mason's football. Certain people are predisposed to being great communicators, and I know last year Mason had a lot on his plate, checks, adjustments, ATFs, whatever you want to call them. Now he has someone else that those can go through in Easton. And so by taking some things off his plate or out of his hands, we've created clarity, allowed him to get his cleats in the ground and play fast. And that's what we need. We need him to play fast because he can make big-time plays. We saw that he's made some huge plays for us in spring. We need now that trajectory to continue to climb and get a spot.
All right, so you see, he says we took a lot off of Mason's plate. Now, there were several things that defense required, and those who know the communication aspect of being a leader of the linebacker spot, there were so many things that there's so much thinking within the play that you have to do, lining people up, making sure everything is right. And I think Matt Ince, he recognizes that this is not football is not just about the athleticism and what you're able to do on the field. That's a big part because you have to be able to execute the play. But then the other part is being able to to execute the plays and be able to communicate these things over to your teammates, and then being able to line everybody up right. It's so many different things that are within that playing that position. And as a football student, Matt Ince understood that Mason Cobb had way too much on his plate. And a guy like Easton Arnold, a guy that's coming in, he's able to he believes compliment somebody like Mason. Of course, you guys know Eric Gentry. We're going to have all these guys probably rotating in and out. And I think it's going to speak volumes for what this team is getting ready to be, man. So you guys can drop those comments. Eric Gentry, of course, Rajon Davis, all the linebackers, Elijah Newby. I think we got a good group of guys. And I think we're going to see the Mason Cobb that we saw at Oklahoma State, who was absolutely the leader of that defense of that team and flying around. And I think it's going to be straight up go time. So you guys can drop those comments. That was the first storyline that I really wanted to touch on as it relates to that. Now, Deanton Lynn, he made a big time comment. And when you're talking about guys hitting their target weights, and we see, I've been posting them up on my Twitter, but we see multiple guys that have gained significant amount of weight, whether it's, Elijah, everybody, Emmanuel Pregnon, Elijah Hughes, who went from 260 to 295. And he said every defensive lineman has made their target weight. And that is, big shout out and big salute to a guy like Benny Wiley. Benny Wiley is the man with the master plan, and it's straight up go time. But everyone, Braylon Shelby, David Peavy, all of these guys has hit their target weight, and it is straight up go time. And that was a big time comment. But then I listened to a comment that Deanton Lynn he actually made from about Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, a phenomenal guy, and this is a very interesting comment as well. Jalen Smith is a phenomenal guy. You guys know he played the nickelback position, but he has so much versatility, and the fact that he's able to go all over the field. You guys know he played safety in the Holiday Bowl, had a phenomenal game, and the fact that he was able to transition and make that move, it makes you wonder if they're going to move Jalen Smith to safety. And I wonder if who will be the starter safety. I wonder if it's a combination of Arnold and Ramsey, or if it's Ramsey and Jalen Smith. And so you got to wonder what that situation is going to be like, because Jalen Smith is a leader. He's a baller. You guys know he's a local product. And so that is another storyline that I think when I looked at this, it's very important to really consider that, there's something that could possibly be up in the air with that as well, when you're talking about the safety position. And then you talk about another storyline that I wanted to address is Doug Belt. One of the comments that he made, somebody asked him if this was the most talented group that he had as far as the safety group. And I want you guys to remember Doug Belt, yes, he came from Houston, but don't forget he came from Alabama as well. And he coached guys like Mika Fitzpatrick, like I told you guys. He's coached some incredible guys at Alabama who, Alabama had some dynasty type teams. And he was a part of that. He was a part of that, seeing those guys, the talent that was out there. And I think for him to make this comment that I'm getting ready to tell you, I think that's incredible. But one of the things that he said was, he said that, yes, this is one of the most talented groups, and it can be. And that's, all these guys are over 6'2" in the secondary, which is, most of them. Of course, we got a couple, Marcellus, I think Braylon Shelby, but most of these guys, a lot of these guys are big guys, man. Jacoby Covington's a big guy. DeCarlos Nicholson, he's a big guy. Humphreys is a big guy. So, it's like where we're at with this thing right now. I can't even stress it enough to tell you that this team is about to be better than what a lot of people think it is. I'm hearing a lot of good things, and I'm seeing a lot of quiet confidence, and I think it's straight up go time, man. So you guys can hit me in the comments. You guys can tell me what you think, man. It's incredible. And when you're talking about the secondary as well, you look at a guy like Greedy Vance, and I want to talk about some of his comments that he made as well in reference to this USC team. And this was exactly what he said. Now, you guys know Greedy Vance came from Florida State, and Greedy Vance, he played against LSU, coincidentally, right? he has some opportunities out there. He balled out. He knows what it looks like. He knows that a team that played against LSU, which is his team, he knows if this team has the talent or not. He's seen it. He understands it. He knows that, I've been around talent already at Florida State. I played in the game against LSU. So Greedy Vance coming over now, he understands that, look, what I see here, what I witness here is the same thing I'm witnessing, if not greater, at, when I was at Florida State, when I played against this LSU team, when I had the guys from Florida State, and we did make it to some big time bowl games. So, but this is what Greedy Vance had to say. He said Florida State transfer Greedy Vance said this. He felt USC could be very special while evaluating options in the portal. Now, this was prior to him becoming the portal. And he says, knowing that the team was 8-5 last year, and they was a couple of stops on defense away. They got a new staff. They confident in what they want to do. So look, you're talking about a guy that has already been there and sees the talent, understands, and now he sees what he has right in front of him. Listen, if Greedy Vance can see it, why can't we see it? I can see it, but why can't other people see it? Listen, take the doubt away, take the hate away, and listen, man, I need you guys to get that quiet confidence in you, just like this team got, because there's some people that recognize it, but we need you guys to recognize it as well. But listen, we only got a couple of more Saturdays left. And one more storyline that I kind of wanted to address was this. Jacoby Lane had a very, very interesting comment. And I think some people could take it the wrong way. I don't, but I understand completely what he was saying. And I think it lines up. And let me make sure I say this the right way. I think it lines up to some of the things that Jacoby Covington said after the Holiday Bowl. Well, during the Holiday Bowl, actually, he said, we're a team now. We're a team now. Jacoby Covington said this. They asked Jacoby Covington, how will you guys be able to basically, this is not verbatim the question, but this is what it was. How will you guys be able to operate now that basically Superman is gone, Caleb Williams? And this was Jacoby Covington's exact words. He said, Caleb is not God. He said, Caleb is a great player, but there are other great players on this team. And that comment alone, and please, I hope some don't take this the wrong way. I hope some don't interpret that comment the wrong way. But that comment alone suggests to me that there was, some, how do I want to put it? Because I don't want to say this the wrong way. But I think the media created this one-man show. I think when you see the media, and they control a lot of narratives, just like the question he's asked, how are you going to operate, as if there are no other players on that team? That's the thinking of the media. That's the way they are. And so when it's like that, you create a separation because there is no one man in the team. But when you have even Steven all across the board, and when you realize that everybody is pretty much the same thing, everybody puts blood, sweat, and tears in this, everybody's involved. There's no one man, there's no I in team. And so I don't want to elaborate on that too much because there are people that can twist your comments, but I just think that USD chemistry is back. I think that USC has chemistry. I believe that the whole team is gelling and bonding together. And to me, that may be, you could say 20, 30%, whatever you want to say, but that's a big part of being a team. And so you guys can drop those comments. You guys can tell me what you think. You guys already know where you can find me. It's USCJ32 on Instagram. It's USCJ32 on Twitter. Those are my takeaways from the media day. And it's straight up go time. Now is the time. Listen, now is the time. And the time is now. It's go time. The season is here. Hit me in the comments. You guys tell me what you think. It's USCJ32 on Instagram. USCJ32 on Twitter. I'm out of here. Everybody stay blessed. Fight on, fight on, fight on.